Hello, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. Yes? Okay, I'm just trying to figure out if the. Let me know if that gets louder when I put it closer. Does it get louder? Yes? Okay, so tech is all working perfectly. Beautiful. Hola, Eric. Hola, everyone. Who is here? Say something in the chat. I'm full of very vibrant energy and I have so much to share with you today. Also, the World Cup is on, and I didn't realize that when I was organizing this. So, we're probably not going to get a lot of football people here, but that's okay, right? This is the beauty of like minded connection. This is the beauty of right timing for everything. I would be in the woods in the middle of nowhere, and I'd sometimes meet the right people in the middle of nowhere. I'd be traveling across Japan and I'll go to a Japanese Shinto shrine and I'll meet someone in the right place at the right time. I'll be in India in a mountain meditating and someone would appear, right? There's a guru that appeared. I was in this cave, there was no one around. And suddenly I just look to the left and there's this old guru, right? Orange outfit, and he's just smiling at me, and I literally felt like this guy just manifested from nowhere, exactly what you would imagine when you read all the books about Indian mystics, all orange, dreadlocks, blissed out. And all I could think was, this is like a reincarnation of Shiva himself that's just appeared and just watching me meditate, right? It was crazy. And then I opened my eyes later and he's disappeared, and it wasn't a dream, right? So the right things come at the right time, the right messages. And I hope that you being here in this moment, me being very energized in this moment, you hearing that and receiving that in your system, creates some level of insight for you today. And I really invite that energy in. So, Sarah, Great Lakes, welcome. Anne Marie, welcome. Elsa, welcome. Eric, welcome. Whoever else is here, hello, welcome. It's right time, perfect timing for this. So, today's session is called PREM. Who knows what PREM means? My name is Raj Gorsia, and my father's name is actually PREM. Who knows what PREM means? That's going to be the first lesson for today. And even if you just understand the true meaning of this word and you leave after that and you embody what this name means, you will get the insight that will last for years of transformation, right? If you just understand what PREM is and you embody this, you'll get all the lessons. You can leave after 5 minutes if you like. So, who knows what it means? Does anyone know? It's one of my core teachings. So I'm Raj Gorsia, and I've been on these Insight Timer sessions for about 6 years. I executive coach, so I work with leaders in organizations. I help people to start their passions and create freedom. Sometimes help people to start their own services, etc. But it all comes from helping people in general to become calm and blissed out, right? And PREM is one of my core teachings. This is very spiritual teaching. I'm UK London born, but I'm Indian. And Prem, my dad's name, means, drum roll, it means unconditional love. Prem means unconditional love. And why is the unconditional important? Anyone? Put something in the chat. Why is unconditional important? You know, this teaching came to me as one of my core teachings now because I realized, firstly, I wanted to get closer to my father. So many of us have distance with our fathers. We have grudges, we have challenges, we have parts of ourself that are asleep because of that male energy, right? Sometimes things didn't go so well. Some people have never met their fathers, right? Or have challenging relationships with their fathers, so it's fair. But one of the journeys that I had to go on was to reclaim that part of myself, right? So connecting with my masculine energy, My father's energy has been very, very helpful. And now, in all of the coaching that I provide, I try to have a very safe masculine frame of how I work with people, right? Still direct, still strong, still confident, but considerate that I'm not doing what a lot of people are doing out there, a lot of males are doing, which is making people feel unsafe, being obtrusive with their energy. One thing is being assertive and direct, which most people love, right? But another thing is being controlling and being straight up just without permission, you know? And that's where all the yogic teachings have helped me. So for 2 years, I had long hair. I was meditating. I wasn't seeing anyone. I went very inside into the world of Kundalini, chakras, yoga, every part of it, right? I've been practicing for 10 years. I worked as a consultant in London in an office for 10 years as well in the field of data. I traveled for 2 years around the world. So things are kind of mixed up in different ways, right? All these different parts mixed up in me. And PREM is the teaching that helped me to stabilize and center everything. So, unconditional love. If you listen to none of the rest of the session today and you just bring unconditional love into the world, you are firstly free because you're powerful. You're free because you don't need anything. Just like Jenny said in the chat, I don't need, I want to give. And I'm not giving from insecurity. I'm not giving from anything. I'm giving because it feels good to care. I may receive, and I'm so grateful. When I receive things from people now, either I receive someone's request to say, hey, I would like to work with you. I receive someone's payment when they decide to work with me, or I receive a gift from my friend. I receive someone sending me a nice message. I receive my sisters being kind to me. I receive my mother making food. I love receiving. I really love it, right? But I can give without wanting to receive, without needing to receive. This is unconditional love. And my father has been the biggest example of this. I didn't realize this for the longest time. That's what I said. I had to go on a journey to change my perception. This is a part of the spiritual journey, is changing how we see things, right? So many people I've worked with who have challenges with their voice, their confidence, right? Or with people in their lives, it's because there's a fixed, permanent story of what happened. I had to go really deep and change the story of how I see myself in relation to my family. And I'm not going to go into all of that today, but I do believe that's a powerful path to go on because it frees you. But what I will go into today is 13 lessons that I've learned from my dad on unconditional love, which I really call unconditional leadership. Why do you think, put in the chat why I call unconditional love unconditional leadership? How can it be the same thing in this context of lessons that I've learned from my dad? Someone put something in the chat. Let's see who this sparks for. How can love be leadership? How can unconditional love be leadership? Anyone? The impact to others. Choosing consciously, leading with love. Yeah. Because what leadership really is, I train leaders, right? If anyone knows what an MBA is, I help people who are on that journey of the MBA. I act as their coach. That's one of the roles I do, as well as a lot of private work as well, right? And I'm teaching leadership constantly. And the most powerful leaders are the ones that are really stepping into that role of giving and supporting and helping others grow, right? So there has to be love. If I want someone else to be well and grow and develop and succeed and be abundant and powerful, it cannot exist without love, without unconditional love. Because if there's something in it for me, yeah, okay, we might say I have a good feeling, I feel good about helping them, but that's a byproduct of me really wanting to see this person grow and develop. That's why I chose this career, because it's so fulfilling, right? So leading with love, leadership, the highest form of leadership has to be love, because now I really, really care. And any of you are mothers here, you will know this, right? Women, mothers are so, so powerful in how they lead with love, giving, 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 caring, caring when there's mess on the floor, right? When everything gets messy, caring, saying it's okay, it's fine, I'll deal with it, right? That's leadership. So this is me from my perspective sharing you these lessons, and I'm going to dive right into it. 13 lessons I have learned from my dad about unconditional leadership via love, via PREM, right? Via the mode of PREM. This is what I want you to leave with, the mode of PREM as leadership. So these are going to be in no particular order. Let's start with, where are we? Lesson number 1, nothing in life is for free. This is one of the quotes. Most of these are going to be quotes, things that my dad has said that have drilled into me and have cemented into me. Nothing in life is for free. There's a cost to everything. This is one of the things he taught me. There's a cost to everything. And he wanted me to know that, right? So I'm not just doing things without being conscious of the cost, right? That's number 1. And as I go through these, take notes if you feel like it, right? See what insights spark for you. Which ones do you need to hear in this moment? Which ones feel most useful for you right now? So nothing in life is for free, nothing. Even my thoughts, I'm spending thoughts. I'm spending time. I'm spending energy all the time, right? As soon as I realized that, I started becoming more rich in how I spend things and how I use my mind and how I use everything, right? Number 2, a good workman doesn't blame his tools. Anyone ever heard that one before? My dad is a builder, engineer, electrician. That's what he did for all of his life. He was fixing trains, pretty much an immigrant from India coming to fix trains, fixing cars, fixing lighting, anything. And he said, a good workman doesn't blame his tools. So you can't blame your tools. You're the person driving this car. You can't blame anything, is pretty much what he's saying. He was trying to activate me into remembering if I'm complaining about stuff, I'm forgetting I'm the one who has the tools. I'm using them. I'm using my mind. I'm using everything. And when I come back to that, I feel powerful, right? So it's not a shaming thing. It's just saying, hey, why are you blaming your tools? They're your tools. Can you use them better? That's number 2. If at any moment any of these spark for you, put some comments in the chat. I would love to hear any thoughts you have and any questions as well. Feel free to put them in. Lesson number 3, why are you rushing? So he still says this to me to this day. Why are you rushing? And it might sound like a minor thing, but it's a huge thing. Why are you rushing? When I'd be walking when I was younger, when I was in my teens, I'd be walking so fast. And he'd say, why are you rushing? Or I'd be doing something really quickly. Why are you rushing? Because he's trying to remind me that life is beautiful when we're really here, when we're really taking things in. Right? We can move fast, but rushing is different to moving fast. Right? We can maximize time, maximize our life, but that's very different to rushing, Rushing and creates so much misery. And it's often created by the mind, which feels like it's in scarcity and it has to quickly, quickly, quickly grab, fear. So the opposite of Fear is love. Love says, okay, slow down. Lesson number four, sorry. Where is it? Help your sisters. Help your sisters. This is one of the things he said. Help your sisters. Helping people in general. My dad has always been called by his friends or anyone for help with house stuff, with electric stuff, because they know that he's reliable and he will help. And he does it just because it's helping, right? He does it because they need the help and they're asking him, and he takes that and he says, yeah, I can help you, right? Even when he's tired, whatever, he will help. That's called taking responsibility, you know? He'll help the people that are in his world, in his corner. So I've taken that on. People that are close to me, my clients, I say they're clients, but I really see them as intimate people in my life, right? I'm in their worlds. I'm hearing deep stuff that's going on in their life, and I'm there to support them. Can I help them? Can I help people around me? Can I help someone on the street that might need it, right? Lesson number 5. This is a big one. This is huge, and I'm still practicing this to this day. Lesson number 5 is don't worry about what anyone else says. He tried to tell me this my whole life. I remember being in the doctor's office. It's a very distinct memory. And the doctor would ask me something, and I'd just be panicking, thinking I have to perform, worried. And I struggled with social anxiety my whole life, right? So even walking around anywhere, I'd feel so self-conscious. And he kept saying this on repeat. Don't worry about other people. Don't worry about what they're doing. Don't worry about what they'll think. Don't worry about what they're going to say. You know, he'd always say, ask questions to people. Ask questions to these people. Why don't you ask questions? And I'd be shy to ask questions or speak up or use my voice. He said, don't worry, just ask. Don't worry what they're going to think or say. Right? Non-stop. Don't worry about what anyone else says. If you're someone who's in a leadership position, if you're putting yourself out there, sometimes those kind of people come into my world who have challenges with their voices, who are trying to put themselves out there. The biggest advice I'd give to you is no one cares as much as you about how you're being perceived, right? And whatever someone has to say, it's fine. Their opinion's valid. Doesn't matter. Don't worry what they're going to say. You do you. And I wish I learned that sooner. It took me many years of struggling, social anxiety, shame, covering myself up, filtering myself, till I actually learned that. It took me ages to get onto stages like this. Eventually I did, though. I got past all the challenges and I put myself out there. That's why I'm here, really, sharing the lesson. So, lesson number 6, let's move on. I'm seeing some reactions in the chat, so appreciate that. Lesson number 6. You don't need to buy it now. I remember we'd be going shopping in places, and then my dad would say, you don't need to buy it now. You could think about it. You could just come back later. Or he'd even say this about any decision. You don't need to do it now. You don't need to decide right now. Because what he was trying to teach me was watching my impulsive emotional reactions to things. Do I really need to do this? Do I need to? Sometimes it's coming from fear, right? I don't need to buy this. I don't need to do this, right? The reactions we have sometimes come from fear, or we feel like we're in pressured situations, sometimes social pressure, right? Anyone relate to that one? You're just doing something, following along because you feel like you have to, or something inside is telling you to. Slow down, pause, and you don't need to buy it now, meaning you don't need to commit right now. That doesn't mean wait forever. That's the opposite. It's the problem many other people have: procrastination, waiting, thinking too much. It's finding that sweet spot. Good. Lesson number 7. It's better to be it's better to be early than late. So to this day, I get to an airport 3 hours before the flight when I don't even have to. Right? Maybe in a very busy airport, it's a good idea, but I'll be anxious about this because my dad wouldn't like us being late ever. He'd actually get very angry and tell us off if we're running late, if we're not sticking to the time. And this was quite anxiety provoking. I found it scary as a child, to be honest. And it raised a lot of nervous system stuff in my life. And to this day, even, there is still anxiety about getting things wrong or, being late, right? Anyone else have that one? Your whole body sometimes goes into fight or flight around this because of something you might have learned. So this is what I'm saying. The flip side is sometimes we learn things from our parents which create these tremors and it creates these challenges and makes things difficult. However, this is on the lesson list because I realize he was doing this out of love to because really what he was saying, he explained it to me later. He said, if you get there early, that means you can come in a relaxed way. You can be composed, you can take your time, you can really be there, right? That's really what he was trying to do. And him putting that into our world perhaps created frustration for him when we didn't follow it, right? But there were good intentions in mind. If I take that for myself personally, yeah, it's true. It is good to be on time or early, right? And that's coming from love, that's leadership. If I'm late for appointments with people in professional situations, it doesn't come off too well. I end up running and flustered, which I've done many times. And overall, that doesn't work out too well, right? Lesson number, where is it? 8. Don't rely on anyone. My dad is very strong about this, even though these days I will say I love getting help from people. I love taking things in from people. There's a nuance because he's saying don't rely on anyone. Meaning, and I had a whole interview with him about this, he said, learn things. Learn how you do things. Learn the mastery of certain things. If you're just kind of relying on someone, it's the old saying of teach someone to fish and they fish forever, right? Give them a fish and they get fed for a day. I genuinely love learning. That's something that I've always had in me. Maybe it's because I've had a dad who's an electrician, engineer. Maybe there's some other bloodline behind me. Maybe it's the curiosity inside of me which wants to learn how things work. I will always ask why. My mom will get angry. I'll say, why? Why? All the time, why? And I did try to explain to her because I'm genuinely curious why. I want to understand things, right? So when he said don't rely on anyone, he's trying to teach this mastery, this wisdom of understanding how things work. When I started understanding how bodybuilding works, how nutrition works, I got results. When I started understanding how the mechanism of speaking confidently works, I went out of social anxiety. When I started understanding the mastery of Kundalini energy and the chakras one by one, years and hours and daily practice, trying things, breathing, meditating, doing all of these different yoga, doing all these different things. I was learning, right? It doesn't mean don't learn from people, though, right? Don't rely on people as different to learn from people. I love having mentors. I love mentoring people. I love supporting people. But even when I do, I have a big thing of, you're not going to rely on me. I want you to be so good and so successful and so masterful that you don't even need me at some point, right? That's success to me. So that's lesson number 8. Lesson number 9 is, this is where it gets fun. He says, this is the quote he said, when my dad would be out at night and would be young, he'd just start doing crazy kind of dancing, right? And my sisters would get embarrassed, or he'd just do fun, silly things sometimes, right? Be silly, be loud, be crazy, laugh out loud, all this stuff, right? My mum would get embarrassed. And you know what he would say? This is the lesson. He'd say, but I'm having fun. But I'm having so much fun. I'm having fun. He didn't care. He literally doesn't care how he looks. He doesn't care. He danced like crazy. Obviously, there's times where he won't do it because he doesn't feel like doing it. If he does, he doesn't care. And it goes back to the earlier lesson of don't worry what other people think. Right? If you feel in your body you want to dance and move, I had big anxiety about this. I would never dance in public, ever. I used to drink a lot of alcohol when I was younger. I don't drink anymore. I would drink just to be comfortable. I would drink before I saw anyone. Alone in my room, I would drink. Or I'd find another friend who was socially anxious and we'd drink quietly before we'd go see people, right? And alcohol freed me. I don't need it anymore though, because I realized it was because I was concerned, so concerned about what people would think, right? So, but I'm having fun is the lesson. Yeah, wonderful role model. The funny thing is, though, he wasn't teaching me these things. He wasn't saying these things to me explicitly. Some of them he was, yeah, but these are just words he said, right, in general life. And I pulled them out to find profound lessons from them. So, this is why I say it's our perspective. You can learn from everyone, right? You can just pick up your own parents, and yeah, there might be things that might not have been good, but there's things you can pluck out, and a perspective shift, it can create so much wisdom. This is the journey I went on. I didn't know any of this stuff until I started digging deeper inside, right? And using my own brain, let's just say, to uncover it. I'm having fun. He used to make scenes. He had a bit of a temper, and I think a temper and aggression is good for leadership, right? I've come to realize that, right? Not aggression in terms of uh, harming anyone or anything like that, but I just mean this drive, this fire, right? So he'd get angry when he'd feel like someone has crossed the line or someone is trying to screw him over. He'd get angry, and he wouldn't be afraid to shout in public. He wouldn't. He's very calm, and if you saw him, he's very calm. Everyone says he's so calm, right, and so funny and so chilled. But if he's angry, he's not afraid to show it, and that's one thing I've learned from him as well, right? But I'm having fun is the same as I'm expressing myself, is the same as I am gonna say what I want to say, right? I'm gonna stand in my ground. That's powerful leadership, isn't it? Good. So let's move on to lesson number 10. We're nearly at 13. If you want to do it properly. That's lesson number 10. What he means is don't half ass things, do it fully. There'd be times in my life where I'd just do something for the sake of it, or I'd do a half job just to tick off that I've done it. But I've come to realize, like, for example, if you're going to work out, if I'm going to work out, I want to give it my best, right? Because then I get maximum results. Or if I'm designing something, or if I'm choosing a trip to go on, I want it to be the best it can be, right? If you want to do it properly. That's the lesson. And I had realized my father would get angry sometimes. His anger issues came when he saw things like this, when people are not doing things properly, right? And people are rushing, and all these lessons that I've learned, he'd get angry because he's trying to voice that there's a better way to do it, right? So that's lesson number 10. Any insights? Like I said, throw them in the chat. What are you getting from this so far? Before I move on to the last 3 lessons, put in the chat what this is giving you. Which of these do you want to embody more? What is this informing you about yourself? Perhaps how you show up, perhaps your role models as well. Throw it in the chat. I would love to see before I move on. The next three are going to be really fun. So, what lesson am I on? Lesson number 11. So, lesson number 11, you might have heard it before. Don't worry, be happy. He would just say this randomly. Even now, he'd just say it. If someone's worrying or thinking too much, he'd say, "Don't worry, be happy." He'd say it in this kind of funny singing voice, slowed down. And he never classed himself as spiritual. He doesn't do any meditation, doesn't read books, doesn't hang around gurus. But he is actually into embodiment stuff, right? Like he will breathe. I'll do a yoga nidra with him randomly every now and then. He does work out, etc. So he's got spiritual in him, right? Everyone does in their own way. Spiritual doesn't have to mean you do certain things, right? Spiritual just means you're connected to a way of peace. How about that as a definition? Spiritual just means I'm connected to a way of peace, a way that works. So don't worry, be happy. He'd say at the perfect times as well. This is where leadership comes in. Leadership is injecting the right phrase for the person that you need to inject it to in the right moment. He doesn't need to say that. None of us need to say anything. When there's someone struggling, we don't need to step up and help them. When we feel a desire in us to help someone or to start something new, we don't need to follow that through, right? But leadership is when it just has to come out, right? This is what many people, if they want to start their own business or they want to start their next transition in life or leave a relationship or start something new or whatever, there's a calling, right? There's a calling, and that's what I call leadership. Not in the traditional sense of leader is I have a job title. Leadership is I am listening and expressing that truth. So injecting in the right moment, don't worry, be happy. Good. Two more lessons. You guys ready for it? There's a total of 20 or more. There's a total of like 25 so far, anyway. But I've got two more for you. So I'm just going to read the chat before I get into it. I feel like what you're demonstrating is knowing what is important to ourselves helps you to be a good leader for yourself at the helm, but also to communicate your values and needs to another. Exactly. Value is communicating who we are and what we feel like is important and what could be helpful, right? And not everyone is best at communicating. Like I said, my dad has gotten angry sometimes, and you're going to see in the next one there's an example of that. But it's really coming from something good, right? It's really coming from something that is trying to communicate value and help, you know. So I hope everyone sees that in all men. There's an epidemic of being against men a lot these days. I see this everywhere, right? A lot of women that I work with, predominantly women actually, and there's a lot of stuff that is against men for good reason, because there's messed up stuff in the world. There's people that are doing things that are not helpful, not thinking about psychological safety, not caring about other people's needs. But I also want to shine light on the goodness, right? Sometimes men can be very misunderstood. Sometimes when there's a bit of a anger in saying things, it's just because perhaps there's not the communication skills, number one, right? Or the patience in them to communicate what they're trying to say. But somewhere, if you look deep down, somewhere, if you ignore the way it's communicated and you try and find the root, there's often some help that is trying to be communicated, right? Something helpful in there. So I'd really encourage that instead of just saying men are like this, men should be like that. What if we can go past that and try and be more intelligent in what's trying to present itself, right? That's really helped me because I've had a challenge with men myself. And it's like, as soon as I started understanding men, and myself, I started realizing, okay, like these things aren't as hurtful. The way that I'm hearing this or the way I'm receiving this male energy isn't as scary, disturbing, whatever else it might be, egoic, whatever else I've deemed it to be. There's something else under all that, right? Perhaps there's a story that's created that. Wow, now compassion can come through. And when compassion can come through, I'm free. When compassion can come through, I'm free. I'm free from all pain received from any human. Can you feel that one? When compassion can come through, I'm free from any pain. No one can hurt me ever. I've tried to go against people if they've been rude to me and say they're this and that, and or I did this and I did that, and none of that works. None of that frees me. Only compassion can free us in relationships. Because now I understand where this is coming from. Without it being egoic or psychodynamic or psychoanalysis, that's not what I'm talking about. That's dangerous. Freudian analysis, Jungian archetype. I'm going to throw that in your face. I'm going to use my intellect to label. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just understanding. Right? I'm understanding. It's cool. And I'm free now. I didn't need to use my intellect to determine what is going on. I'm okay with this because I can understand with deeper wisdom and heart and feeling. Back to PREM, just like someone said. And the stomach relaxes. Stomach is where all the tension comes from. Guarding. PREM. PREM frees that. PREM now turns the stomach into power and activation and leadership. You see why it's important? All right, let's go into lesson two, last two lessons. You aren't listening. He'd say this in a very angry way, by the way. Perfect. Perfect to the thing I just said. You aren't listening. He'd shout this. You know, even though he's a cute, smiley guy, he'd shout this. You aren't listening. He would get very frustrated when someone's not listening and not understanding him or not understanding or not hearing things, right? And what he was really trying to do, was to help them to listen and understand, right? Because listening means we can understand better, we can connect better, everything improves. Can we listen? Can we listen rather than listen to whatever we've thought and whatever has been created? You aren't listening. And his frustration was a symbol. This is what I wrote. My dad's frustration was a symbol for how it feels for everyone not to be listened to. That's why he's angry, because he's not being listened to. Everyone wants to be listened to and understood. When he's not understood, he's angry. You see where it comes from? This is it. Whereas we could say, angry person, why is he so angry? He's not being understood or felt or heard, which all of us want, right? Even the man, not just the woman, even the man wants that. Something often overlooked. And it's funny because listening, I teach speaker training now. If anyone's interested in speaker training, how to become what I call a masterful speaker at the highest level through presence, through PREM. If anyone's interested in that, I'm going to be creating a speaker training for the first time, actually. I've done it in corporations, I've done it in other mediums, one-on-one, in small groups, whatever. But this, I'm going to make a short training before the year ends for anyone that's interested, based on presence, based on just being here. Easy, effortless. It's very different to the approaches I've seen before. And when I teach speaking, the first thing I teach is listening. If I am listening in a conversation, I can speak better because now I can respond better. Now I'm listening to my reactions. I'm able to be compassionate, like I said earlier, right? If I listen, I can really see the person. I can see the group. I can see the people. I can see the situation. I can see the life transition. I can listen to everything. And now I can respond, right? So you aren't listening is this lesson number 12. It's very powerful. Listening is huge as a life development. Has been for me for sure. When I had social anxiety, is because I was trying so hard to speak and freaking out. I wasn't really listening of what's going on inside me or the people. It's just me in this place, like going crazy. Listening is huge. Listening to others, listening to ourselves. Game changer. Final lesson. Lesson number 13. Are you guys ready for this? I'm going to pick a good one. Any requests? Anything that you'd like to hear about? Let me see what I'm going to pick. There's so many. I might actually throw a bonus in there. All right, let's just do this one. Lesson number 13 is let you be. Yeah, there's so many good ones. I might do a few extra. So this one, let you be, is I was a computer geek for all of my life. I was playing computer games, playing video games, not really socializing. I played on my own a lot. I did have friends, had some really good friends, younger, but I enjoyed being alone, right? I would say no most of the time when people wanted me to go somewhere. And I'd have like social anxiety, I'd have all these things, right, going on. And my dad would see it, obviously. We'd never talk about it, but he'd see it. And you know what? He'd let you be. The lesson here is he would buy me computer games. He would buy me the console. He would support this version of me. He's literally supporting it, right? If he's buying the stuff, it hit me so profoundly. Like he supported this and said, you know what? I'll let you be. I'm not going to try and get you to go and play this football or do this or be like this or be like that kid, be like anyone else. Okay, you're interested in games. Cool, I'm going to support that, right? And he's always done that. He's always let me be. He's never told me to be like anyone else. He shared principles with me, right? He shared principles with me, but he's never told me be like someone else. Let you be. Yeah, this is parenting book. This is parenting and this is leadership, right? Because this is how you can lead teams. This is how you can mentor people. This is how you can support others in life in general, right? And it is a future book. This is where I'm getting it from. Actually, I've said before my father passes away, I want him to read this. So at some point, I will turn this into a book. So let you be. I'll support you. I'm going to give you a few bonuses. Who wants a few bonuses? Are you guys liking this so far? Are you getting something from this? If you are, shout some feedback in the comments. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you're not enjoying it. Give me some things in the comments and I'll give you a few bonus lessons. Tell me what you're getting from this so far. What are you feeling? What's it doing for you? Okay, I'm going to really hit you with the next one. Lesson number 14. I will have the crap one. And I'll tell you what that means. When there be food that's made, there sometimes be like burnt food or burnt toast or less tasty parts or just bits that aren't that good. And you know what he'd say? He said, I'll have the crap one. I'll have the crap one. You have this good bit. And it's a powerful lesson. I can feel the emotions running through me right now. Being a leader is letting others eat first, as Simon Sinek calls it, I believe. You know, hunting, making the food, paying for the food, and then saying, I'll eat the crap one, you eat. How powerful is that as a leader, as an energy of saying, I'm doing this for you. You enjoy. I can have the crap bits, right? So that for me has been very powerful because it's allowed me to embody my own masculine energy as a leader of doing things for people. If someone is a client of mine, if they're in my world, in my life, I will serve them as powerfully as I can, right? And if there's parts that they're struggling with in life, in whatever we're creating, I'll try and make it easier for them. And I'll have pleasure in watching them grow, watching them become better, watching them rise, right? I will have the crap one is really a metaphor for I want to, yeah, you enjoy, I'll see you win. I don't need it for me, you know? All right, I'm going to pick one more, maybe. Let's see. All right, this is a very interesting one. I learned this one recently when I interviewed him. He said, "Don't deep think," and I was like, "Where did you get these terms from?" He's like, "You don't want to deep think." I was like, "What do you mean, deep think?" And he basically said it kind of flipped a lot of the things that we think on our head of like you must go very deep inside and go into the insights and let things land and get these enlightening thoughts. He's basically saying don't deep think, thinking too deeply, because you can get into all these stories, and get into all of these ideas versus actually living life. Basically, this is the Zen distinction, as I call it. I've studied Zen for the last 10 years. Has anyone here done Zen meditation, Zen training of any kind? It might sometimes include staring at a wall with your eyes open in meditation position, not thinking anything, no effort, just staring at the wall, just being there. So deep think is when we go so deep inside and we're exploring all these thoughts, etc. We're thinking a lot. We're going into existential crises or so much thinking. It doesn't even have to be crisis. Sometimes it's just thinking, 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 thinking. And we forget we're here. Forget to live the life. Right? No matter what I create, no matter how much success I have, or I move towards and I'm excited to keep working on, right? I always have to remind myself to live my life as well, right? Live my life. And life actually gives us lessons. So it's really about going into action. Going and living life teaches us things. This was another lesson he said was you learn by experiencing stuff, right? You learn by doing things. You learn on the job, as we call it, on the job of life. So don't deep think, right? What I've learned to do is to switch on my brain now. It was something I couldn't do before, but switch on different parts of my brain for specific reasons. Right? If I want to be very creative and solutionize, I can do that in a moment. But I don't want to use that all the time. I want to be in action, you know? It's freeing. I'm not thinking, I'm just doing. So especially for spiritual people, go and do stuff. It could be so easy to get in our rooms, locked away in our rooms, listening to Eckhart Tolle videos all day, right? Wow, Eckhart Tolle said this is so cool and it feels good. Okay, you're going to go out there and live your life now and be present and be now. or just listen to all this stuff all day, right? Big lesson. All right, I'm going to give you one more. What number am I at? Am I at right now? I can't remember. Was it? Maybe this is 15. Maybe this is the last one. I'll give you one more. 15. Um, this should be recorded, hopefully, and I'll have it on my private drive. So just send me a message if you want to hear this. And I will probably be posting it to my mailing list as well. So anyone wants this or wants to send it to a friend or colleagues or whatever, then just send me a private message. You should be able to find a link to do that, or just send me a private message here. I'll be happy to share it. All right, last lesson. Let me have a look. All right. So, last lesson, narrow view versus open mind. So, he basically said if you're just really got a narrow view and you're so focused on one thing or even one person, right? This can relate to relationships, or, maybe you've had some relationship that's gone bad and you think, oh, no, I had this person and now what, etc. Right? It's like we're so narrowed in on that one person, right? Or this one job, or this one thing, narrow minded. Or we're walking around and we're just thinking, thinking, thinking. We're not really in the situation. So narrow mind versus open mind, right? Wide perspective. When he said this, he blew my mind. I was like, "Where have you been? You've been in Japan for 20 years or something?" He's sharing all these like Zen lessons to me. I was like, "Where is this coming from? This is crazy." Narrow view versus open mind. He also said this very powerful thing. He said, if you're focused on only one thing, then you might be disappointed if you don't get it. If you're focused on only one thing, you might get disappointed if you don't get it. But if you got an open mind and you just see what happens versus in your head believing what will happen and what you want to happen, so attached to it, then you're going to be happier because you're open to life. You're just seeing what happens versus this narrow thing of I want this and I must have this and I'm going to do this to get this. And now you get disappointed sometimes when you don't get what you want because you're so attached to it. So, really, he's talking about freedom of the mind, freedom of attachment. And there's so many books on this, right? There's one lesson, though, if you implement it, you don't really need to read all these books. You just think narrow view versus open. Narrow view versus open. So, everyone, there's many more I can share. Many more. I can share about the time when, and I still talk about this sometimes, I'll tell my clients this story, the time where in school I was accused of stealing money. It's a really weird situation. We went on one of these school trips and we went on these public buses, right? And everyone got onto the bus. And for some reason, the bus driver thought that someone took the change that was in the front of the bus, for some reason. So he got everyone off the bus and he was like, someone stole some money. And for some reason, he thought it was me. He pointed at me and I was like, what the hell? Why does he think it's me? Me and then I think two other people. No idea why that happened, but basically the school, my headmaster, ends up saying, okay, you're going to get detention and all this stuff, basically these repercussions. And back then he publicly humiliated me and a few others. And he said, in the school lunch hall, you're going to clean the trays. And he made me do it. And you know what? As soon as I told my dad, he's like, did you do it? Did you steal the money? Tell me straight. Did you steal it? And I said, no, I didn't do it. And he believed me. He looked me in the eyes and he believed me. He's like, okay, if you didn't do it, I'm going to go talk to your teacher then. And he drives in straight from work. He storms in. I told you my dad's an angry guy, right? When he's angry, when someone's messing around with him or someone he knows, he's not going to take it. He storms into the school. He had a red Mercedes Benz at the time. Storms in, parks his car anywhere he wants. Doesn't care. Right? Parks it. He's furious. As soon as I told him I didn't do it, he's like, you know what? I'm going to come and talk to your headmaster. Storms into the headmaster's office. He gets me out of my class and says, come with me. And then he goes into the headmaster's office and he starts shouting at him. He says, you don't have any proof and you're humiliating my son. Yeah, there's the emotions. You're humiliating my son. How dare you? And he got me out. Headmaster comes out, says sorry to me. He says sorry to me. He's like, sorry, I had no proof. I had no right to do that. My dad's standing there right next to him, next to this guy. There's people like this in this world who are causing pain to other people. This is why I get emotional, because we need people, we need men, we need women to step up to say, I'm not taking this. I'm not allowing this to happen. I'm going to storm in and I'm going to be brave. People doing this to children, to women, to businesses with money. This is all over right now. We're seeing it everywhere. Things are getting exposed. Things are still happening underneath the surfaces. So we need people like this to be leaders. That's why I care about good, heart-driven leadership. This is why I care about people starting businesses that make change in the world. Because I feel like we have to combat people like that, right? And in the grand scheme of things, the headmaster is just a guy, right? I'm portraying him perhaps as a bad person just to explain the magnitude of what is out there, right? He's just misunderstood perhaps or whatever, right? But he did have a power trip. I know that about that guy. I remember it. And he was made right. The wrong was fixed, right? It was fixed by a leader coming in and caring. So this is what I want for all of us, to activate that version of ourselves that speaks up, that goes and cares for others, that shares lessons like this. That's why I'm sharing them on now, So that's the last one I've got for you today. "15 lessons, I believe." So I'm going to leave the session there, guys. Leadership from love. How about that? I feel like it activates the entire body. It brings us through fear. It brings us out all of the analysis, paralysis of, how can I say this? How can I do this? What's the best way? Is gone when the heart is activated. This is why the Anahata chakra This is why the heart is the most powerful, because it connects the bottom, the front, the sides. It connects everything into one centerpiece. So if there's anything that I suggest you to do today and onward, if you just choose one path, choose that path of opening the heart. You know, there's this third eye, there's Kundalini yoga practices, which I teach, by the way, privately. There is somatic things, there's breath works, there's loads of things, and they're all connected to heart, perhaps. But if you just go more directly into the way of the heart, everything can open. So that's my invitation today. And when I've done that, wow, leadership is easy. Speaking is easy. My body's healthier. The way I relate to people is healthier. The wisdom's coming more profoundly as well, because I feel it in my heart. So, everyone, that's the end of today. I hope that taught you something about the concept of PREM through those lessons. Any questions, I will take 3 of them before we finish. So think of any question, I'll take 3 of them, put them into the chat, or any comments you'd like to make. If you've been here the whole time, throw any comments in there. One other thing that I will say is, if you do like some of these things that you're hearing, you can find other things from me through social media. So you could just look me up and you'll find things. I also have a mailing list where I'm going to be sharing some events, some more teachings, some guidance. So you can join that. You can send me a message and I'll send you a link to join that, or you might be able to find it yourself. Other than that, anyone here want to visit India and have an embodied experience with me? Put your hand up. I spent the last 8 months in India, my home country, reconnecting to the lineage of Himalayan masters. I'm so thankful to be connected to them, actually, in a way that doesn't make much logical sense, which I won't go too much into now. But let's just say there's more work for me to do on that side. And one of the things that's become very clear is to bring people to this place and bring authentic yogic teachings, not the same old mainstream stuff, but real authentic yogic teachings. So if anyone wants to spend time with me in person, there is a very small group that I'm going to be organizing for around October, and then potentially in the future as well. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be really powerful. Send me a message if you're interested. Prem will be a massive part of that, and he'll probably be there. The real life version is probably going to be there, right? You'll get a chance to meet the man that I spoke about today, and I will get him to say some words in person, which will be powerful for me, actually, to share him with the world. So that's all I have for today. Any questions? I haven't seen anything in the chat. I haven't seen any comments yet. Let me just have a quick look again. Okay, if there's nothing, I'll give it a few more seconds. If you'd like the recording, then please send me a private message. I'll be happy to send that to you, or you want to send it to someone. If you want to learn a little bit more about the way I teach, the way of the heart and energy, etc., there is a book that I've written called The Power Centers, if you're interested. What else? Let me see. Yeah, I think that's it for now, guys. Deep lessons, deep things that I keep learning and embodying myself, and I keep talking to my dad. So this is the last suggestion I'll make to you. If you can, if it feels comfortable, right? Make an effort to connect with your father. When I did that, it changed everything. I kept seeing him in my dreams, actually. That's what started it. Um, and then I connected with my deceased grandfather, and he said something to me, and it was a meditation. It was very real. I didn't believe it. My logical mind was like, yeah, you're making this up. This isn't real. This is just a dream. And he stares me straight into the eye and says, no, this is real. And I kept seeing him. And then a guide I was working with at the time, she didn't know anything about this. She said, your grandfather has contacted me. And I was like, okay, this is real then. This is strange for a data scientist kind of guy, but this is real. And at one point, my grandfather said, connect to your father. Took me a while, but I did it. And it was very helpful. So I'll leave that with you. If you're looking for encouraging masculine energy in your life, I hope you find it, right? And I hope that for the world as well. Anyway, I'll leave you there. Have a wonderful night.